Hello and welcome again to the Leadership Boardroom. A question we get asked a lot is, why do leaders need leaders? Leadership is often quite lonely, not always, but it can be, because you're dealing with issues that you can't really talk to other people about. You can't get input, you can't give output. And so it's all in your head and you start overthinking things. We need connectedness. A recent book I read indicates that connectedness is one of the most fundamental parts of our life. We are hardwired in our brains towards other people and connectedness. Relationship, I would call it. What happens when you are in an incredible moment in your life? You look around for other people to share it with. Something spectacular happens. And you think, what on earth was that all about? You look around and say, did you see that? Did you see that? Wasn't that incredible? If there's nobody there, you sort of feel deprived. Now, I've traveled to, 50 or so countries around the world. I've seen some incredible things. And one of my great regrets is that I didn't always have somebody there with me to share it with. And so I come back, yes, and I got some photos and all that kind of stuff, and I try and tell people about it, but it's always inadequate to the real sensation and experience of that incredible moment. So we need that connectedness. We need relationship. When we're going through difficulties in business or in our life, doing the good life, the happy life, the long life, we need relationship. The research is overwhelming in this regard. Humans are social animals. We feel very anxious. In fact, our cortisol levels increase when we feel that we are excluded or alienated from our people, from our village, from our tribe, from our clan. And so how do we develop the relationships? One of the things that the Leadership Boardroom does is try to cultivate that connectedness, that relationship amongst peers where you can go to your people for assistance, for help, and to actually help them, which is very, very good for your own psyche as well. So how do you develop this relationship? It doesn't just happen. Very rarely you meet somebody that you have the big click. And that's usually based on some kind of deep common experience, common environment, same interests, same future sometimes. But you feel, I've known this person for ages, it seems. Although I know that I've just met them. But that is so rare, you can usually count in a lifetime those kinds of experiences on one hand. Usually, we have to build relationships. I like to illustrate it in the same way that you have to build climbing stairs. You build your life climbing stairs, getting higher and higher and higher all the time. So relationships are very similar. 5 key stairs. You don't just jump to the top step. You're in danger of damaging yourself, overbalancing, pulling a hamstring, and then you've got to go through a whole healing process before you can start building that relationship once again. And so what is the stairs that you have to climb to get to the ultimate form of relationship, where you can actually share those deep moments? You start off, bottom step is this whole area of knowledge. This is not just general knowledge, the stuff that you know. This is the knowledge about the other person's knowledge about you. When you meet somebody for the first time, you're exploring this area. You talk about the generalities in life. You talk about the weather, you talk about sport, you talk about the traffic, and just things that we would have in common anyway, with anybody in our environment. But we have to go deeper than that. As you start getting deeper, you're finding common interests and common purpose, common opinions, common hot buttons and motivators and so on. You can then take it to the next step because you have found out now what that person can do, what they can't do, and the stuff that they might have done already. And that leads us to the next step, which is respect. When you respect somebody, you can actually start thinking, this person can do this kind of stuff. I have to doff my hat. I have to respect this person. They've done these things already. And so your relationship immediately gets deeper. Hopefully, the reciprocal takes place as well, because they need to respect you for the relationship to develop any further. The third step after respect is the big one, which is trust. So you can't trust somebody, actually, unless you respect them. You can't respect them unless you know them. And so if we don't trust them, the relationship is always going to be undermined, insufficient, and can never get to the great levels where you can actually depend on people and they can depend on you. From trust, where do we go? We go to the next level, which in fact is intimacy. So this is like a corporate intimacy. We all have our turf, our zone, our territory, and we defend that automatically. We don't like other people just coming in and out of our territory or our turf or our zone unless we trust them. So this is my project, or this is my business. Even though you might be quite a nice guy and you want to help me with a particular project or a difficulty that I'm having, if I don't trust you, I'm going to say, don't worry this time, I'm sure I've got this, thank you very much. Although I might desperately need some help. If I trust the person, the relationship then can actually move into that area of corporate intimacy, where you can say, hey, move in, please. I trust you. I know you're not going to undermine me or stick me in the back. Please, let's go with this thing. Let's try and find the solutions that I desperately need. So that is why we have intimacy, the breaking down of the silos, making sure that we've got our deep friends that can actually help us in a moment of crisis. And even more, just expanding our understanding and our knowledge and our development. From that corporate or intimacy level, we move to the highest level, which is collaboration and partnership. Partnership is essential. So it is the highest form. This is when I share in success and failure of those people that I'm in partnership with. I can't just walk away. If I'm collaborating at that high level of relationship, there's something that binds me to that person. It's like some writers have talked about it like being in a marriage. You don't just walk away easily and say, that's it, cheers, I'm gone. No, you have to be able to see the course through until there's an irreparable breakdown perhaps, and hopefully not. That's where you have the highest form of relationship. Now, you can't just jump there. You've got to go through this. I've got to get to know you. I've got to respect you. I've got to trust you. I've got to be able to understand that we can move in and out of each other's zones with some kind of intimacy. And then only can I get to that high level of partnership and collaboration. Too often, within business and in life, people just jump to the top thing and they expect some kind of partnership or collaboration, and it's undeserved. The steps haven't been generated yet so that we can actually move with confidence to partnership and collaboration. And then we fall down, we overbalance, and if the relationship is not worth perpetuating or the pain is too much, we don't even try and do it again. If the relationship is worth it, and there's been a break in trust or in the partnership, and it's worth it to try again, you must do it. Where do you start? Back to the knowledge. Start understanding why this person maybe let you down, or what were the circumstances of the disappointment or the unmet expectation. And then you move to respect again, which might be difficult. You move to trust, which might be difficult, but it can be done. And then ultimately you can restore the collaboration and partnership. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. And remember, this is part of why in the leadership boardroom, we find it essential to make sure that leaders have good relationships with other leaders so that we can develop this collaboration and partnership, not in competition, but in support and in development for the successful, prosperous, good life. Go well.